Hey, my name is Teacher Sydney, or Sydney. Congrats on getting an interview with Gogokid. We are here today to talk about your interview and the demo lesson. So in this video, we'll be going over teaching tips and then what you need for this interview. And then in the next video, we will go over each of the slides and how to teach them in your interview. So if you would like to skip to any of it, I have outlined where you can skip to here, or you can go down and click on the next video if you would just like to see how to teach the slides. First things first, teaching tips. Teaching tip number 1 is be energetic. Smile. You want them to know that you're happy to be there, that you're excited to see them. There's a screen in between you, so it's really hard you don't get to feel someone's energy, you have to see it. And a way to do that is you want to be active, you want to move around, you want to make them know that you're happy. Get excited. They do a good job, they get a star. You get a star! Yay! Or high five! I use sound effects. I do that in normal life too. And using depth really helps really engage the classroom. So I'm not just like high five, it's like high five. Or you get a star. Yay! It really helps increase the energy of the class and the student engagement. And you are treating this mentor and the interviewer who is evaluating you as a student, so you want to make it as real as possible. Sometimes it's a little funny to act that way with an adult, but just get out of your own head, pretend it's a kid, and it will be much better. You always want to be excited for them. You want to give them positive corrections, so you never want to say no, that's wrong. You just want to show them the right way and get them to repeat it until it's right. You want to be encouraging and patient, and you want to make sure that they are speaking correctly, so you don't want to gloss over something that's wrong. It's really important to patiently correct students, but to make sure you correct. That brings us to our second point, which is make sure to always be using proper English. It's going to be simple English, but you want to use full sentences. So, I am happy. You are making sure that they are using a full sentence, you're making sure they're pronouncing the words correctly. So if I'm teaching them the word can, and they say cam, you don't ignore it. You say can. Make sure they're using correct English. The main goal of students signing up for these classes is to be able to speak, to properly pronounce English, and the parents want to make sure they're using full sentences. So these are really important things to be doing. A big thing that will help you elicit this is TPR. TPR is super important. Teaching online, it's often really hard to get, so you can use TPR to really make the student understand. What is TPR? TPR is total physical response. This is the coordination of using actions and movements with your words to help the student understand. There are 2 types of TPR. There is instructional. So this would be when I speak and I want you to listen and then repeat, I will hold my hand here, so you look at my mouth. So my name is Sydney. And then now I want you to say, so I go, right? So now you know, oh, I'm listening for you to speak. This is instructional TPR. Educational TPR is TPR that mimics a word. So let's say I go, how are you? And I want you to say, I am happy. Yeah, happy, right? Or we're learning duck, and I go duck, quack, quack, quack. And now I want you to go quack, 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 because that's going to help you remember what we've learned. So TPR is really great that way. Another really important thing is you always want to teach the objectives. So They're listed on the slides. They're under teacher tips. Make sure you're looking at those objectives and you're prepared, and that's what you're mainly teaching. For me, if I switch to a slide, I get stuck, I can't remember. Biggest help, what do you see? Right? It gives them time to think. It gives you time to regroup. If you get lost, that's your go-to. And then my last tip would be to adapt to the student. So students learn differently. So let's say I'm teaching octopus, right? Octopus is not an easy word. It's one of the ones we have to teach in this interview, and it's multiple syllables. So let's say I say octopus. And the way I teach syllables, let's say, is octopus. Now I want you to do it, but it's not quite working for you. So let's try this way. So you can hold out your arm and go octopus. 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 So you want to make sure that you have different ways to adapt to the student to show you know their learning styles. So to recap our teaching tips, we have be energetic, use TPR, teach the objectives, use proper English, and adapt to the student. Yay! Alright, moving on to what do you need to prepare for this interview. So in terms of stuff that you need a computer. You need good lighting. I am fortunate right now where I am. I have a room light, and then I also have a lamp, which is like one of those ones that you twist around, and I've got it over my computer. What I do sometimes is I'll take 2 lamps and I put them on the sides of my computer, and so they're shining kind of at the computer but also towards my face. And even though this looks not necessarily that great in person, it shows up really well on the computer. So play around with where you are and your webcam to make sure that you've got good lighting. You're going to need a headset with a microphone so that they can hear you speaking clearly. Logistically, what else do you need? Computer charger. You want to make sure your thing doesn't die. If we're being honest, that happened to me in my very first interview with my first ESL company. My computer died in the middle of it, and it was awful, and it was a Mac, so it rebooted really fast, but it was a disaster. So yeah, make sure you have a charger. That's all I can think of on the technical side for what you really need for your interview. Other things that you are going to need are going to be a background. Like I said, I teach, so this is my teaching background. You don't need to go out and buy a bunch of stuff just for an interview. What I did for my interview is I printed out 2 pieces of paper, I taught from a blank wall, and I tacked them both up. So I had one that said Teacher Sydney, and it had like apples and fun teaching things on it, and then I had another which was a night sky, so that I could tape stars to it because I was using stars as my reward. So another thing you need is a secondary reward system. I use stars. I have pink, I have yellow, I have purple, I've got some other colors. The way that I do it is I let the student choose their favorite color at the beginning of class, and we use that for the rest of class. It's really simple, minimal explanation needed, everybody likes stars, great, works great for younger kids, works the best for me. So what I did is I printed out that night sky, and I had little stars that I printed and cut out, had tape, and I would just tape them, and they did a good job. Another thing, so some teachers use ice cream. You can print out an ice cream cone, pin it to a board, your wall, whatever. Have little ice cream scoops in different colors, and you add a scoop every time. You can draw it on your background. So you can just draw your cone there, and then you can draw ice cream every time they do a good job. I think it's more fun to have a physical prop with colors, but if you draw it, you draw it. Do what works for you. You need props. Teaching with props enhances your teaching, gets the student more engaged. So number 1 prop is that whiteboard. You don't have a whiteboard? No problem. Go to your dollar store, go to Target, go to Office Max, whatever is near you, office supply store. Pick up a sheet like this, stick a white piece of paper in it, draw, and erase. Great. Also, obviously, you need a marker to draw on it. The whiteboard is my favorite prop. I use it for everything, so that one's really important. Another one that is really useful is a puppet. If you have kids, steal all their toys. If not, I don't, so I went to Goodwill and picked this up. 50 cents. Killer. Or a finger puppet if you want small. Kids love these too. Anything that you can interact with. Get them excited, ask them questions. You can use it to make voices. Puppets are really useful to catch students' attention, keep them engaged, give examples. So another prop that I have, picked this up from a dollar store, it's a microphone. There are songs in every lesson. It's fun to use. And we talked about TPR earlier, so sometimes I'll do this and they'll do this. My student doesn't get it. They don't understand that that's me wanting them to repeat. So then I'll try the microphone. So I can be like, I am, right? Now you know I want you to speak. I have used a pen in the past, make it look like a microphone, it works. I've also used a hairbrush more times than I would like to admit, but the student doesn't care. Print one and cut one out, whatever works. That's a prop that I use all the time. Another one that I use is I have this, a yellow paper plate that I've painted on and glued to a popsicle stick. Really easy, again, not expensive. I use this for how are you? It's a good extra little thing. Things specific to this interview lesson are you have that slide, I believe it's slide number 3 with Alex and Amy. I printed that slide out. I inserted it into my whiteboard because it wants them to circle Alex and Amy and it wants them to say hi. So I circled it and I said, this is Alex. Yeah, and then you can say circle Alex and you can take your picture and you can circle it. So that one was really helpful for me. You also teach the math section with apples. So again, I have apples hanging above my head. I have an extra one that I keep in case something happens to one of those. So I use this. You can print them out, cut them out, great. It's a lesson specific one, but I think it will help you in this lesson, and showing that you can use props is really important in this lesson because it's the chance that they have to see different ways that you can engage the student and get them to understand the material. Other props that you need. You don't really need anything else. Anything you have lying around that you feel applies to the lesson. So you teach cat, dragon, octopus, and dog. A stuffed dog, great. Do you have a picture of your dog? Awesome. Anything you have that will associate the meaning of that with something else so they know what it means, that can be helpful. I had a board game lying around, so you have to explain games, so I just picked it up and I was like, games! You don't want to overload yourself with props. You want to use what you feel comfortable with, but you do want some props to help you explain the material. So that's kind of all I've got for props. So to recap what you need, it's going to be a background, a reward system, so 3 easy examples, print out a night sky, cut out stars. You can print out the gorilla example that they give you, so it's a gorilla and bananas, and the gorilla gets bananas every time. I find that hard to explain, so I don't use that. And then the ice cream reward, again, that's really easy to explain. So whatever you feel most comfortable doing is the one that you're going to teach best. So if none of those work for you, find something else that you feel good about. 3 props. So my main ones are whiteboard and marker and puppet. All the other stuff is stuff that I used for this lesson and examples that I gave, and then 4, anything that you will need technically. So that covers our teaching tips and what you need for the interview, and the next video will be the slides.